Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. Today, Pete Najarian and I are going to break down for you exactly why the market keeps doing this, up and down and up and down, and a little bit of sports, the VIX, and of course, some prediction markets. And one of the predictions that Pete made about where a certain LaFlop might be going in today's Rebel's Edge. Well, folks, I guess just like a heartbeat, the market goes up, the market goes down. It doesn't matter if we're going to be bombing the crap out of Iran or if we've got a truce. It just goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But chip stocks making a big comeback today, Pete, because, wow, Korea was down hard. Japan was down 4% yesterday. Guess what? Japan's up 4% today. So it's not just us here in this country, it's all over the world. So anyway, let's dive into that macro then, Pete. Basically, Asia and the Nikkei driven higher today. Also, the UK, the United Kingdom, their unemployment data released today was better than expected. And for that reason, a little optimism even over in Europe. What do you got, Pete?
Yeah, it's interesting, John, because coming into today, you're sitting there probably thinking like, well, we've got tariffs are kind of back. We've got escalation of the war, and all that type of thing. And yet we do have that news with what's going on with semiconductors. And boy, that just seems to be, bringing the market right back to where we'd like to see it, which is probably up. And it's been pretty amazing. I mean, up, 1.25% for the NASDAQ, John, and it's led by, some of those biggest names, of course. So it's interesting. And I think that it's also interesting just to see a little bit more of, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this, but as far as Bitcoin's concerned, it's actually starting to show a little bit of life. And it's, that tells me that people are willing to have a little bit more risk. And that's I think something that's very good.
Yeah. Well, what's it doing to volatility, Pete? Usually we'd see volatility sort of ebbing into something like this, right?
It's interesting to see what the VIX is doing, John. It's actually getting closer and closer to 17. I mean, it started right around 18, we'll call it, and then just started dropping and dropping and dropping. And here we are a lot closer to 17. And we're down about 7-8%. So interesting to see how that, is playing out right now. But if you do look, and, we always do, but you do look on, you see what the S&P is doing today, you say, well, it's up almost 1%. And here we are at 17. So it seems to be reacting about the way that you'd almost expect. It's about a 1% move expectation, and it's damn near there now.
Well, then let's take something maybe from your bailiwick, Pete. Biotech and biomedical and all that kind of stuff is something that Pete's much more of an expert on than I am. But Danaher today, they do diagnostics for healthcare and so forth, but they reported second quarter results, Pete, 870 million. It's a 60% increase year over year. So the stock's got to be jumping, right, Pete?
Of course. I mean, you crush it on the earnings, which they did. I mean, a monstrous number. 194, they were looking for 184. The earnings up, like you just mentioned, 60% year over year. But the problem is there's a little bit of a disappointment about what Q3 looks like right now. And so the immediate reaction was, and I'm sure they're early on, right out of the gate, people saw that number and they're like, all right, I'm buying this thing. Well, unfortunately, they got hoodwinked into something, because the next thing you know, you find out they disappointed on the Q3 guidance that they've got. The core revenue growth was not as good as expected either. And so for those reasons, you take a look at that stock, and I mean, the chart says it all. Down 25% year to date, down 15% today. So not so good for Danaher, and it's all because of the fact that despite the crushing numbers that they put out there, that guidance is terrible, John.
Yeah, you're never going to get a good move out of weak guidance because everything else is backwards looking. How did you do? And did you come in just above the expected revenue or sales number? And then were you able to drop enough of it to the bottom line? That's all backwards looking. The forward looking part is, like Pete said, what are the expectations? And in the case of Danaher, it was a $201 stock last night, Pete, and it was 168 on the lows today. So
hurts.
pretty ugly, ugly. Well, and then we'll flip right over to the good side, which, is right up in Minnesota's area, Pete. 3M, strong second quarter results, and just the opposite of weak guidance. They actually gave some interesting guidance, as Pete would say, interesting guidance, because revenue did hit $6.5 billion for what they earned in the past quarter. But now going forward, their EPS guidance, Pete, was up, not substantially, but it was certainly up several percent from what they previously guided. And that's what's driving the stock today.
Yeah, that earnings guide that they gave out, John, it was above, and that's kind of what you're looking for, of course, is where are they at? If they were flat, we'd just say, well, then yeah, let's look at the earnings themselves. But we look at the earnings and then we move on to the next as fast as we can. And they did have some great margins that they put on, John. The stock is very near the 52-week highs. So being up 8-9% today is pretty impressive. I think 3M has been able to turn themselves around in a good way, and it's starting to show that much more. But like you said, Q2, those earnings, they crushed that too. They beat on the revenue, they beat on the earnings, and then when you actually can pull out and raise that full year guidance, that's going to be money in your pocket, and I think that's a great sign for 3M as of right now. It looks pretty great. A little bit different move than we were seeing in Danaher just a second ago.
Yeah. Well, 3M sharply higher, another one sharply higher, which I'm kind of kicking myself on, Pete, because I wanted to dive into Coinbase and or Riot, but I wasn't getting enough signals. It was just kind of muddied. But Coinbase definitely moving higher. Bitcoin, of course, actually found some footing last week after just getting the crap kicked out of it time and time again, and then breaking through 60 and all the rest, 60,000 per USD. But then as it makes a comeback, Circle and Hood and MicroStrategy and Coinbase all should be catching some wind in their sails. And it turns out Coinbase said, yes, we are.
Yep, they sure did, John. And up 12% today, not such a bad move to the upside. And when you take a look at this and you sort of break it all down, it's a very high beta play for Bitcoin, for Coinbase to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's at the highest levels that it's been, John, in a month and a half. So there's a lot of good things kind of circling around out there right now on that front. People are willing to take a little bit more risk, it seems like. So because of that, you put that all together, Coinbase is looking pretty good today. And Coinbase is one of those stocks where you've got plenty of shorts in there. So those shorts are getting squeezed out a little bit as well, John. So that's something else. But, just looking at what's going on, being up 12% today, I would say that's a pretty solid day. They're pretty happy about that. And I'd love to see a little bit more option paper in there. Like you were talking about, you might want to lean a certain direction, but boy, it makes it a lot easier when we do see some of the unusual option activity in some of these things. And we just haven't seen a whole lot in Coinbase.
Yeah, Coinbase has, just like I said, Riot, you could put them in there too. Yesterday, Pete, I was talking about HUD 8 not because of Bitcoin, but because of they signed a 15-year extension on a data center down in Texas. So there hasn't been that much that's been driving these stocks from the Bitcoin side, but I think maybe now that rubber band stretched a little too far to the downside. Now it's popping back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's finish up with Equifax, because these guys basically, I think a lot of folks know, they take a look at verification of income and things like that. Something I was doing yesterday as my wife was buying a new car, Pete, So when you do that, some credit bureau or somebody is going to be going through your employment and your income statements and all that kind of stuff. Equifax does that. But this one was $180 stock last night, Pete. When they came out with these earnings, it fell to 150 something. And it got that close to a new 52-week low. And there's probably a day in the future, Pete, where AI makes their job so much easier and they're able to, sadly, I'm saying, lay off a whole bunch of people, because if you don't need those data scientists and all the rest in as big a numbers as you presently have them, because AI is able to do the work of, perhaps dozens, if not hundreds of people when you're analyzing data. This is something that maybe this stock will see a big jump to the upside when they announce something like that, but they're not announcing that today, Pete. Instead, they were just talking about second quarter revenue, and it was not spectacular.
No, but they also, one of the things that stuck out for me too, John, was they talked about the concerns they have over $100 million legal settlement. That doesn't ever sound like something good, right? I mean, and you know what? They also talked about their Q3 and their guidance, and they missed on that. So again, they did beat on their earnings. They beat by a dime or a nickel, actually. But they missed on the Q3 guidance. And so, yeah, that thing's down, 5 or 6%, something like that. I mean, it's not getting just crushed, but it's definitely on the negative side. And as you said, a lot closer to the 52-week lows. So they're going to have to do something to get this thing moving in the right direction again, John. But that settlement certainly stood out for me. And I don't know what the numbers were going into that, but the $100 million mark just seems like it's a fairly large number. So I think that's what's pressuring the stock for sure.
I agree. Well, I thought you'd like this one, Pete, because it's a high school football player that went from no one to someone really fast. And one of the ways to do that is to do exactly what this kid did. And that is you break King Henry's single game touchdown record, which is pretty difficult, but he managed to do it. And I bet you'd never guess what state this kid plays in, Pete. Let's give it a look and listen and then see if you would have guessed it.
Back from Florida broke Derrick Henry's single-game rushing touchdown record just last season. And the craziest thing about it, he was only a sophomore. Xander Edwards is the running back for the Bulls School in Jacksonville, Florida. And we covered him back in August, but since then, Edwards has been doing some crazy things. In this game against Baldwin, he rushed for 8 touchdowns, crossing the goal line from 77 yards out all the way down to just breaking King Henry's previous single-game touchdown record of 7. He ran the ball 39 times for an earth-shattering 522 yards, the second most yards in a game in the history of Florida high school.
In one game!
And Xander did lead the state in both rushing yards and total touchdowns, blowing every other player.
The parents on the other teams are probably
considering his dad is a Super Bowl winning fullback. Xander was flying under the radar before last season, but now he has 36 Division I offers, including Georgia, Miami, and the Ohio State. This high school running back from Florida.
Yeah, well, Pete, I mean, I know you would have guessed one of two states, Florida or Texas.
Yep.
Because, the talent in those two states alone, you could stock up the whole SEC just from those two states.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that kid's pretty amazing. He's got good lineage, obviously, with his father playing in the NFL and all that kind of thing. And he just looks the role, doesn't he? I mean, when you see him, he's got the physical side of things. He looks like he's got plenty of speed. I mean, I'm looking at, his competition as well as him and how fast he looks out there. Tough to say anything negative about the guy. I mean, and you know what? When you break anybody, especially Derek's, it's unbelievable, right? I mean,
yeah. You'd think his records were going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But maybe this kid's will fall the same way, because the kids are getting bigger and faster. And I mean, he's a sophomore, Pete.
Yeah.
How many sophomores start on a great football team? And the answer is 0. Yeah. I mean, literally on a great football team, it's almost impossible to break through.
Yeah.
And even, with all the talent that Florida has and all that stuff, you can only imagine as a sophomore this year what kind of offers he's going to be getting. The NIL money will be coming too, Pete.
Yeah, I think he'll do just fine. All right. Let's just jump into this one, John. It's about the NFL, but it's not just about the NFL. It's about FIFA and the World Cup and all the excitement around the World Cup and how everybody loved it and everything. I mean, it really did change the United States for quite a long time with all those games that went on and everything else. But one of the things that stands out for me is the guys in the soccer world are like, hey, look, it's worth the money. We want natural grass in all of these places. We need to have it. It has to be done, blah, blah. And they did it. Well, what about the NFL? Because it has been something that's been brewing for a long time in the NFL, John. Now, there are some stadiums that have grass. There are some stadiums that have grass outside the stadium that rolls right into the stadium and all that kind of thing. The NFLPA has been they've been urging the NFL and the owners and talking to those guys about, hey, look, we need to get on grass. And I tell you what, I am so with all those players. I think you would be as well, John, because even though turf has improved immensely, and why wouldn't it? Over time, it's gonna. And it's got a little bit more pad. It's got a little of this, a little of that. You can stop on a dime. That's not always a good thing. But, the reality is that the players and on every single team have been saying for a long time, hey, yeah, we'd love to play on grass. And I can tell you as a guy, and I was on the radio show yesterday where I unfortunately missed this show, but we were talking about it, John. I played 2 games in my entire college career, and I was there. I redshirted a year, but so 5 years. Played 2 games on actual grass, and they were both at Purdue because they were the only school in the Big Ten that actually had grass. So gives you a little bit of an idea, and that was when it was really terrible. The turf at the Metrodome was awful. The turf at Michigan, terrible. Northwestern, maybe the worst in all the Big Ten. I mean, wherever you went, everybody was on turf. And there's a huge push. 92% of players want grass to be what they play on. So what say you on this whole thing? I mean, it seems like something, when you look at how much money the NFL makes, the TV money and all the other things, I think they could probably afford to maybe figure out a way. If they were able to do it for this whole cup thing, John, I don't know why they can't have grass for these players just to maybe extend some of their careers as well.
Well, higher injuries, of course, it's not just a comfort thing, like Pete said, it's higher injuries. I mean, I looked at some of the data when you shot me this, Pete, and it's 28% higher overall injury rates on turf, 32% more for knees alone on turf, 69% more for foot and ankle. And some of you might think, well, foot, what is that or whatever? Well, turf toe is a real thing. And if you have a bad case of turf toe, folks, it can keep you out of the game for a long time because you can no longer get the same push off of that foot. It's just, it's a debilitating injury. Obviously, ankles, we've seen a lot of that. Look at Scatabo out in the New York Giants and so forth. And all of these guys are playing on turf.
Yeah.
There's almost zero grass out there.
Yeah.
But the places that do have it, shoot, you might even see some of those places, Pete, almost be like a tax haven where the players want to play someplace where at least half of their games are on grass instead of turf. So it could be a draw as well. It'll be interesting to see where this goes from here.
Yeah, I think that they're getting the attention of the higher ups in the NFL now because of what happened with FIFA and everything, and the opportunities that, hey man, and it's worth the cost. It really is. I mean, they've got players that are getting hurt that they're paying money that are just sitting on the sidelines and can't play because, the turf is just that reactive and can be so, unbelievably bad for your body. Yep. Every part of it, elbows and shoulders and necks, and obviously your lower extremities as well. Not so great. How about the NBA, John? This has been really interesting, and I know that we're on the same boat on this one, but LaFlop is flopping around, but he doesn't want to decide where he's going to play, right? He's been doing this for quite some time. I would guess, I'll take a guess that he already knew where he was going to go when he started. But, because how many changes are there really, right? I mean, the off season and everything. So he's been doing this, and now it's gotten to the point where it's getting to be a headache even for the NBA higher up folks out there, because they're trying to figure out games around, Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that type of thing. And they're kind of waiting because they'd like to have some of those games around whatever team the guy decides to go with, because he does have that name and he is a damn good basketball player. But I don't know in what section he is. I don't think it's top 10. I don't think it's a lot of things, but everybody has their opinion on that type of thing. What do you think about this, Jon? Does he feel to you like he's about as big a narcissist as you've ever been, affiliated or watched or anything like that? Just because it's amazing to me how he's playing everybody on this thing. And, I'll decide soon. Well, might be a good idea at some point, right?
Well, when you look at the teams that he's considering, Pete, and that would consider him for that matter, Miami Heat's top of the list. They're 2-1 on the prediction markets to get him. Roughly 47% of all the money is on Miami getting him. Cleveland is number 2. The 76ers are number 3. And then it goes all the way down to your Timberwolves, Pete. Yeah. But there's only one team on that list that is no tax state. And yes, I do understand that when players play on the road, they pay a tax based on where they're playing. I do understand. So a zero tax state doesn't mean zero tax altogether. It means zero tax for your home games. That's it. But nonetheless, that does save you some money. When I look at those cities too on that list, Pete, LeBron James is a billionaire. He does production stuff with Netflix and others. Why would he be in Cleveland or Philly or even San Francisco or Minnesota? Why would he be in any of those places?
No good reason.
Miami is a much bigger stage for what he does and for the people he wants to talk to and do business with, probably. But I'd also say that, like you said, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, he wants to know where this guy might play. And I think it is important to sort of determine that before, but on the other hand, these guys have huge egos. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. He didn't want to tell anybody for the longest time either. And it's kind of sucky that they hold these teams hostage, sort of, because obviously any of these teams he goes to, he can sign a new contract, but in some cases it's going to keep them from being able to get other players because of the size of his contract, likely. So, I think he should just, tell him where he's going. It's going to be Miami and just get it done. That's what I think, Pete.
Yep. I'm with you, Jon, and it'd just be nice if he just got it done. I mean, just get it done, help out the rest of the NBA so they can figure out some of the games in the future, and it'll be all good. But you know what? He does like to be the center stage as long as he can.
Yeah. Does this mean Bronny's going with him, Pete?
That I don't know. Not so good so far.
No. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. We appreciate it. We will be back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We hope you share some of the short clips as well as the links to YouTube and all the different sources of where you can watch the Rebels Edge. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1.